Hello, everybody. Welcome back on Isabelle's talk show. And today I'm so happy because I'm inviting Beth Owen all the way from the States, and she's got a very, very hot topic. So before I introduce the topic and I let my guest talk about it, I would like to welcome first Beth. Welcome on Isabelle's talk show. It's your first time, but I know it's not going to be your last one. So I want to introduce Beth. Beth lives in Austin in Texas in the States, and she has a passion. She loves to travel, eat, and garden. She's a certified personal development and life coach. She specializes in coaching around holistic time management. Before she became a coach, Beth helped others achieve their goals through social work as case manager for 5 years and as a massage therapist. So welcome, Beth. I'm so happy to have you today. And you're going to talk about procrastination. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, so much for having me. This is such an honor, and I'm really excited to be here. And that's the thing is, like, sometimes people ask me about, like, wait, personal development, holistic time management, where honestly, my goal for everyone is just to live a meaningful and fulfilling life. And so when they're reflecting back on their life, it's a life full of not regrets and things that they did do, things that they love. And so that's what really like fuels me up, like, go live your best life. And so with that, when I encourage people to do that, I so often hear the excuse of, I don't have enough time, I'm too busy. And I just want to call BS on that. So this is why I teach time management and coach on time management and various subjects like procrastination, because honestly, time management is a learned skill. And anyone who wants to learn how to better manage their time and themselves, they can. Okay, so procrastination. So before we get into all the possible reasons someone may procrastinate, I first want to say to anyone who's listening that if you are struggling with not getting things done, that first of all, you're not alone. Everyone struggles with this. This is like a real thing. And so from anyone listening to this, I just want to say from this point forward, don't use this as a reason to beat yourself up. If anything, take this as a cue to start getting really curious and looking inwards with what's going on in your brain to see like why you're not actually doing the things you think you want to do. So just want you to give yourself some grace and open experimentation and playing with different approaches just to find the one that works for you. So I think I just had to do my little public service announcement. So but yeah, let's get the topic of hand. So why? So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why a person may procrastinate. So first, there's a lot of reasons. And so I'm going to just talk about some of the core ones. And sorry, I'm going to drink my tea here for a second.
That's fine. We're between friends here.
Yes, cool. So some of the core reasons are, one, you're told the way that you operate is wrong. Another one is the task at hand is not in alignment. Another reason, perhaps you're tired. And the fourth one I tend to talk about is the task is just too big and overwhelming. And the fifth one we're going to talk about is like the task feels stressful or scary. So I know that's a lot, but a lot of these are kind of just short, so we'll just kind of go through all of them. So first, let me explain by what I mean by you're told the way you're operating is wrong. So the classic example of someone procrastinating is they wait to the very last minute to work on their slides for a presentation or work all night to like study or write a paper, whatever. And I think everyone has done this, like, you know, everyone has done this at some point. And for many people, when this happens, they miss deadlines, the work isn't that high quality, or they fail a test. And if you are in this category, I would honestly just work on your time management skills. However, there is a small part of the population who really thrives under that pressure. And so when they're under the pressure, they never miss a deadline, they create high quality work, and they get the results they want to. And if that's you, don't broke what's not fit, or don't fix what's not broken, right? Where Some people just really operate well under that huge hit of adrenaline, and they do great results. And so if that is something that you identify with, and you, I'm just talking about the general you, but honestly, just plan that. So like, okay, so if you, generally, if someone operates in this level, they have a good idea of like how much time they need to crunch ahead of time. So just be strategic. Are you, so don't like schedule a hot date the night before a deadline or things of things of that nature. Just make sure you have enough space in your schedule to actually cram the way that works best for you. And also after the adrenaline rush, a lot of times people just crash afterwards.
Mhm.
So if you find yourself being that person who just crashes after like the all-nighter, give yourself some space to rest, recharge. Like you just did an amazing feat. So take that time to rest so you're not getting burnt out. Okay, so that is one reason. And the thing is, like, you know, when someone told me that people operate like that way, I'm like, no, that's impossible. But really it does. So people just, they operate that way. So, okay. Let's see. So another reason we mentioned is someone may procrastinate because the task is not in alignment. And this can mean a few things. So perhaps the task in hand is not in line with your current goals and priorities. So when I usually work with clients, I make sure that we really start with the person envisioning their best life and getting really specific on what's important to them and what are their current goals now. And so a lot of times people will just keep on bringing in tasks from previous goals that were important to them, like perhaps last quarter, but it's not in alignment now.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not aligned with the values, you know, you are being asked to do something and it's just like, well, I don't want to do that. But sometimes we think, okay, I've got no choice because it's work. But I wouldn't do it this way. I feel obliged to do it. And different values.
Exactly. And that's why I really I really encourage people to be really clear on like, what are their values, what are their goals, what is their vision? Because so often we're just reacting to our life. You know, things are in front of us, keep on putting off, like someday I'll get to that. Someday I'll like go, you know, climb up a mountain or something. But honestly, if we're not being really mindful of what we really want, we're never going to get it. So yeah, exactly. Values is huge with that. So if something's not in alignment, you know, delete it off your list. There's no harm in that. Cut it off your list, cross it off. Or if it's something you know that like this would probably become more important later on, you can put in something called, that a lot of corporate people call like a parking lot. So perhaps a list somewhere, you just write down like future things to consider as you move forward with your goals. Another thing with alignment is there's so much information out there and there's all these experts telling you the perfect way to do this and they did it this way and this is why they're super successful and make a lot of money. However, you know, what may work really, really well for one person may not do anything for you.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. We're just like, I've seen so many of my entrepreneur friends struggle because they're trying to follow a formula that doesn't fit them, where they're like, but this is how I do it. And you're like, but are you actually doing it? I like the example of like, there's lots of ways to cook a potato. And if you hate baked potatoes, you're never going to get around to baking that potato. But if you love potato chips, just focus on how to learn how to fry the most delicious potato chip because other people like those potato chips, not everyone is 100% into baked potatoes. So a lot of this is just being really honest with what works well with your personality, with values, what you enjoy, what lights you up, because that is the important thing. Because I mean, you can try to force yourself to do things over and over again, but if you don't have that motivation, that spark, it's going to just take forever. You're going to drag through it and you probably won't have the results that you want.
It's painful as well. Getting up in the morning, going to do something we don't like is just, and as you said, I mean, if it resonates to us to bake potatoes or to bake chips, it's totally different. It has to come from us. Otherwise, it's not going to work, and we're not going to enjoy it.
It's so true. I mean, yeah, because that's the thing is like some people, if you're in sales, you operate better in person. Some people just do really, really well on social media. But if you're trying to fit yourself in a peg that is a different shape hole than, or you were a peg in a different shape hole, it's just not going to work. So why be stressed out over something that's just not, doesn't work for you? So
Mhm.
okay, so, and this is a lot of why I call myself a holistic time management coach, because I find when I start talking to people about time management, so many times people are like, oh, what's the best system? What's the perfect system? And and honestly, it really just depends on the person. Because I know how I operate and what works well for me and gets me success. Maybe it's like something completely different for you yourself.
Mhm.
And that's why I really like the holistic aspect of it, where it's just like it's not just one system. It is like experiment, play, what works best for you.
Adjust,
uh
adjust a
adjust.
bit, right? Try things, and if it doesn't work, how can you adjust them, and it will work for you.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to move along to things that are big and overwhelming. So a lot of times people operate using a to-do list, which, there's nothing wrong with that. However, you have to be mindful of how you write things down.
Mhm.
So oftentimes people would just write down like, make a website or do your taxes, which in the US, the taxes is quite a complicated experience. And so it sounds correct. I need to make a website, but there's a lot of steps involved with doing that one thing. And so what happens is like when we're glancing at our list of like, all right, what am I doing? You'll see something big and overwhelming and your eyes are just kind of like your brain's kind of like, nope. And you move on to something simple. And so that's why it's really important to really figure out how to tease out something that makes sense for your brain so you can actually do it. So with that, let's get clear on some terms. So a task is one single unit of work that is usually under a project. And a project is an entire series of tasks that need to be completed together in order to achieve an outcome or goal. So these are different things. And sometimes people aren't really clear, like, oh, this is a task. I'm like, is it, or is it a project? And so with the website, like that's not just one thing you have to do. So if you're building a website, there's a bunch of different things. So even though it may sound silly and unnecessary, seriously, the one of the best ways of doing it is just breaking it down into tiny little bite-sized pieces.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I like examples. So for example, it's like, all right, under writing, make a website, right? Find a hosting site, buy a domain, write content for homepage, write content for the about me page, select the pictures, ask a friend to proofread, edit a site with the new feedback, etc., etc., etc. So writing it down each little piece. And if you're listening, I always put the verb in front of what to be done. So like buy a domain, because the thing is like when we're making these lists, we really want to make it as easy as possible for our brains to like just do the thing and not think and give ourselves a room to like analyze. Just like make it simple, like put the verb in front, and it really does help get through it. And another one of the cool things of having all those things broken down is as you cross each little item off the list, you actually, yes, right, exactly. You get that motivation, you get that dopamine hit. You can even kind of like play, gamify, create a game out of it, like, yes, I did this. And, and if it's a really, really big task or a really, really big project, you can create milestones. And each milestone after like X amount of things got done, you do something to reward yourself. You have a celebration, something
Oh,
to treat yourself.
yeah.
Yeah. So like, this doesn't have to be like drudgery. This doesn't have to be like so unfun. Like you can make this work for yourself and reward yourself, because rewards and celebrations are not mentioned very often in our society of how to operate, but seriously, they really so important. Like you got to celebrate when you do something right,
Well, yes,
right?
and reward yourself, because sometimes when we procrastinate, and we achieve, then we do the thing and we have to do, and we achieve it. It's just like, okay, we've got that feeling of achievement, but it's just like, okay, shall I reward myself for doing it? Well done. And I don't know, go and buy something, and or just like, I don't know, like a cake, and going for a coffee for with a friend, and just like saying, okay, I reward myself. So it triggers as well the mind to just say, okay, I'm going to do the difficult thing, and then I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to have something at the end.
Exactly. You know. Okay. All right. So moving into other options, because there's so many reasons we may not do something. So stressful or scary. So is this task or project, is it stressful or scary? And there's a few things we can talk about on this subject. So first of all, and this is kind of a sneaky one that I just, anyway, so someone may not think that they actually really want, or sorry, let me back up. So a person may consciously or unconsciously not believe they can actually achieve the outcome. So for instance, if you have the thoughts in the back of your head, like, I'm going to fail this test no matter what, so why should I even bother studying? And that's huge, because like, if you're already thinking of failure in mind, you're not going to take the actions that you need to actually be successful. Where so there's a quote from Henry Ford: whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And it's so true. And so that's the thing, is like, this is why I really like journaling or getting coaching for these things, because sometimes we just are, it's like, yeah, I can totally do it. But like, it's the thoughts in the way back in the head. You're like, oh, maybe there's something going on there. So how you think about your ability to do something is so influential. So that is definitely one thing. And another stressful reason is we might be afraid of the outcome we think we want. Where, for example, like, I may not want to work on my brand new business that has a potential for a lot of income coming in, because deep down, when I think about making a lot of money, I might be afraid that I'm going to lose my friends in the process. I might be afraid that my distant relatives are going to come out of the woodwork and start begging me for money. Perhaps I'm afraid that like, I'm going to mess up and lose all my money to a scammer. Or perhaps I think that like, all rich people are a-holes. I don't want to be an a-hole. Maybe I don't want to be rich. And so if that is like going on, if that program is running on in the background, we're not going to get the results we want, because we're not going to make the efforts and make the do the action that's actually going to get us what we want, because we're kind of just sabotaging ourselves. Like, well, I don't really want to have that much money. I really do. And these are just things, and there's no right or wrong. It's just something to be aware of. Like, if you're not getting the results you want, it's really a good time to get curious and just like, there's no judgment, just curiosity. What is going on in there? Is this actually what I want to be thinking? Because we do have some of that control over our thoughts. And we do have the ability to like, oh no, but these things aren't that big of a deal. So why am I letting them hold me back? Or I know tons of people who have a lot of money and are like the most generous, loving, kind people. Not everyone's an a-hole. So
and sometimes
really be mindful.
It can comes from a comment we've been told. Look at them, they've got they're rich, and and you get stuck with that thought, and it stops you from doing what you want, and in that case, making money, being successful.
Exactly. And those little side comments, like, it's so surprising how much those little things can really impact us. So yeah, really, it's so true to be mindful of like, wait, is that really? So okay, so another reason, and the kind of scary thing is we might be afraid of the reactions of people who are involved. And so I recently did this, where I put off something for 3 months. 3 months, like each time, like, oh, let's do it next week. I'll do it next week. And when I really had to like look at what's going on, I realized that I was afraid of the reactions of one of the people involved. due to our past history and stuff like that. I'm like, this person could be a little, not what I want to deal with at the time. And so I kept on putting it off, but I'm like, but if my goal is to increase my revenue, this is the lowest hanging fruit. Is this really the reason? Is this really what I'm going to use to hold myself back? And so, finally I pulled out my big girl pants and I did it, and it was fine. The person involved didn't have a strong reaction at all. Actually went a lot smoother than I thought. And it was funny because when I was talking to one of my friends about this, actually a few friends, who've had similar experience, whether it's like with their kids, their spouse, whoever is involved, we all just tend to have that drama in our head and making it so much bigger and so much of a deal than it really is, right? Where, we love doing that worst case scenario thing where, what is the worst case scenario? But at the end of the day, it needs to get done. Is this really going to be that bad? And even then, we can handle it. Even if someone's reacting overly, we can handle it. We can just get the thing done.
I always say to my clients, you can't please everybody. So the first person you have to please is yourself. If you're happy with it, go for it.
Exactly. And so, that is, and that's the thing is, anyway, so, okay, so one last thing I'm going to talk about it briefly, just because there are so many podcasts and books and stuff on the topic, but basically perfectionism. Oh, yes, right. So some people think this is a strength where, their perfectionism helps them create the most amazing things, which may be true. And at the same time, it's really easy to slip into the darker side of that aspect, to the point that a person feels like they have to produce A++, 100% plus extra credit quality of work. It's either that or it's nothing. It's very much all or nothing thinking. So what happens is a lot of times people become paralyzed by this, where they're like, if I can't make it perfect, there's no point. And then it just becomes this bad vicious cycle where it's like, is this really helping? Is this really giving me the quality results that I want? And so honestly, if anything, what I want to speak to is the fact that just be okay with B minus work. So in the States, that would be like 80% out of 100, right? Like, it's passing, it's pretty decent. But, if having a B minus work and being okay with it is so much better than aiming for A++, 110%, that never gets done, that never gets completed. And the thing is, like, you can always make version 2.0, where at the end of the day, just get something in, and then after the deadline, after it's turned in, or whatever needs to happen, then you can go make it better. You always have that option. But if you're using this as an excuse to not do the thing and just holding yourself up to such high unrealistic standards, it might be a time to really look into what's going on. And I mean, I find this for myself, like, I keep on mentioning a website because I'm building a new website right now, and I really love graphic design stuff. But at the same time, I was like, ooh, let me tweak all the photos. But I'm like, I didn't have content in there. I need to write the content first. And so I had to really be discerning, where I'm like, no, I'm just going to put the words in, I'm going to write the words, put them in there. And then once that's all like final, then I can play with the images, because I know that's going to eat up so much of my time, because I love playing with that. But at the end of the day, what's the most important is to get my message across. And so same thing with, like, presentations or slide decks. Like, you don't have to make all the images beautiful and all these fun transitions. At the end of the day, people just need the information. And so if it's not super pretty, you can always make it pretty later, but don't use a blank page as an excuse to not do anything. So
I totally agree.
Yeah, so that's kind of my spiel.
Okay, so can you just summarize? So the first one for me was the way you operate, right? The second one is alignment. Third one?
You're tired.
You're tired, yeah.
People are just tired, yes.
Then the fourth one, was it about being scary and success?
Yeah. And then, so that, and then also, is it too big and overwhelming?
Yes, the overwhelming. And then perfectionism.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been there actually. Always thinking I could do better, I could do better. But then with the deadline, I was like, I've learned to agree with myself. That's it. Deadline. I'm going to give it. And then eventually, if it's not good enough, they will tell me and I will modify it. But that's it. I've done as far as I can. I've done my best. That's it. Go with the flow.
Beautiful. Yes, yes. And sometimes it takes a while to get there because like it's not easy because we really do want like, no, I did it, such a good job. But like seriously, good job on just realizing that because it's hard to get to that point sometimes. It really is hard. So
And it's step by step as well. So being compassionate with ourselves as well. Okay, well, maybe I could have done a bit better, but I did my best. Right? That's
exactly. Yeah. And since you're mentioning best, like what your best can look very different each day. Where, your best when you've had like great wet rest and you're, like for me, like I am underslept at the moment. So my best is like to be here. But at the same times, like, your best can change each day. And so being, like you said, be compassionate, being gentle with yourself, because honestly, being gentle and compassionate yourself is so much more motivating and you actually get more done than being yourself and being really mean to yourself. And so, yes, give yourself some grace. We're all humans. We're just doing the best we can. And don't think your best needs to be 110% all the time, because that's just not realistic.
not possible. Even with the energy, I mean, it drains, so you can't be 100% or 110% all the time. So that's for sure. So Beth, tell us a little bit about your freebie and some events you're going to organize, and so tell us.
Yes, thank you. So, considering there are so many possible factors on why someone may be taking their sweet time on a task. So I have a freebie where if you send me your email, I will be happy to send a PDF of a bunch of different journal prompts. And the way it's set up, that if one of these things doesn't resonate with you, because not everyone has all the same reasons at the same time, just pick some journal prompts that like sounds like, oh, this might be something I need to look into, and just journal and just see what's coming up. And so we have a journal prompts as a handout, as a freebie, and also for I got a lot of workshops down the line here, which I'm excited about. So one is also, it's not a workshop, it's much more of a co-working session, which, my thing is planning. Like a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm going to just go with the flow. And I'm such a go with the flow person. I am so not a type A person. However, as someone who has so many passions, so many things that they want to do, I've learned to like, no, I need to really make sure that I'm planning. So I'm all about planning. So I'm having this co-working session, either it's like earlier in the week and I'm still playing with what days, but generally we're between Saturday and Tuesday. It's plan your week. And so if that is something interesting to you, hit me up, because basically I'll help you work on how to like schedule your week, help you see any possible pitfalls, how to plan around it. And seriously, people have attended this, they're like, wow, I my week is so much better because they're not scrambling all the time, just being reactive to what's showing up. So that's happening. And also, as I was mentioning before, people, a lot of times people don't know what they want. A lot of my clients are like, I don't know what I want with my life. I just know I want to like be rich and live on a tropical island, but but what do you really, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like that sounds great to me. But at the same time, like, what do you really want? What are your goals? What are your values? And so another workshop that's coming, still playing with the title, but it's something with the word envision, and walk you through some exercises to like really get crystal clear on what's important to you, why is it important to you, and what do you want to do. And then you'll leave with a basic framework of how to, take the action steps to actually do the things that you want to. So you can actually go live your best life. So these are coming down the pipeline. And So if that's interesting to anyone, please give me your email and I will send you information. And yeah.
Good. And there is one thing as well, we need to mention that you will be one of the speakers on the 27th of July for the 4th summit, so Full Circle Summit. I'm hosting with Lisa Weisloger. And you're going to talk about valuing your priorities. So put it in your diary, audience, 27th of July, 9 a.m. PST. And Beth will tell you all about how to value your priorities. So thank you very much, Beth. And if you want to contact Beth, you will check the description of this video, and you will be able to see the email address. Just copy it and contact Beth. Any question for the freebie, to register for her webinars and register for the Full Circle Summit too. So soon we will post the link where you will be able to register. So thank you again, Beth. And our next guest next week will be Stan Nelson, and he will be talking about rewriting your story. So don't forget, I will publish post the flyer as usual. And if you have missed the previous talk shows, don't worry. Just find Phoenix Coaching and Training on YouTube. I mean, we've been doing it for over a year now, and I'm so happy to have had guests from all over the world. So just click as well on the little bell, so you'll get all the notifications after uploading a new talk show, so you won't miss any. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Bye, Beth.
Bye. Thanks.